Katrina Owens.
Good morning. My name is Katrina Owens, and I'm the Chief of Staff at DC Scores, also a resident of Ward 4 and a DC public school parent. DC Scores has been providing out-of-school time programming free to students for over 25,000 kids since we started in 1994. This school year, we're partnering with 52 DC public and public charter schools to serve 2,000 elementary and middle school age young people in the district. Throughout this past year, DC Scores has worked in partnership with OSSI, the DME's office, DC public schools, and many charter schools to provide a supportive team for every child who needs one. For many kids in DC, being part of a DC Scores team is their lifeline, a lifeline they have needed this past year more than ever. Through the critical funding provided by the 21st Century Learning Grant and Learn 24, through OSSI and the DME's office, DC Scores was able to pivot when the pandemic hit. These grant funds allow us, within a week of the schools going into virtual in March of 2020, to move all of our free after-school programming to a distance learning format. Our focus then and today has been keeping students feeling safe, supported, connected, and hopeful despite the chaos swirling around them. The funds from both agencies have been critical for us to continue to creatively support district kids in every ward. The support provided from both agencies and our school partners, including grant funds and communities of dialogue, have allowed us to provide virtual soccer practices and poetry writing workshops for the entire year. Our poet athletes have participated in structured, age-appropriate conversations about social justice topics that help students process the twin pandemics of COVID-19 and systematic racial injustice. DC Scores and our OST partners are in a critical position to support the district's recovery from the pandemic because of our deep relationships with families, students, teachers, and administrators. Over 80% of DC Scores coaches are school day teachers or staff doing their second shift with us. DC Scores is able to connect schools with families and to support the social and emotional needs of district kids. To close, I want to share a poem written by 3 poet athletes at KIPP DC Quest Academy in Ward 7. Their poem is entitled Voting. When it comes to voting, it gives us a voice. I know we're not old enough to make a choice. If you are viewing elections through a narrow lens, then put on your bifocals and view it again. It's no joke, so let's come together, black, brown, white, and let's make it better. When you're an adult, you have a choice. When the time comes, we want to hear your voice. So take out some paper and make a note to remind yourself 4 years from now, go and vote.
Hi, yes, how are you?
Hi. Good, how are you?
Thank you so much for being here. Love the work of DC Scores and definitely hearing all of the pieces of your testimony that you provided. I'm curious, because I asked this to an earlier panel, but I'm curious in terms of DC Scores working out of school time, whether or not your school partners have been in touch with you about term 4/summer?
Yeah, so I've been meeting with school principals to talk about both term 4 opportunities and in particular summer. From what I've heard from DCPS principals, also DCPS central office held a summer meeting for all OST partners yesterday. And it sounds like DCPS is empowering principals to connect with partners and utilize partners this summer. So we'll hopefully be part of those plans. My understanding of those plans should be firmed up and they need to be submitted by the end of March.
Okay.
Certainly, I think in term 4, we've seen there's more principals having some more ownership over figuring out, are there opportunities for outdoor learning? The mayor is allowing for some more athletics. So, connecting things that, bring joy to young people in person, I think will be critical and even more critical as we try to figure out how people are in person. If they remain virtual, can we connect that with some of the in-person socially distanced soccer or poetry writing that we know kids love, and connect that to the school and to the enrichment this summer.
Yeah, okay, great. That's good to hear that they've reached out to you guys, because I knew that the end of March was like their deadline in terms of the planning piece. But if they hadn't talked to you yet, I would definitely bring that up with them tomorrow. So thank you for that.